call the order the Plymouth Board of Education regular meeting on Wednesday, October 13th, 2021, to order at 7:04 p.m. I'd like to pledge the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, item number 2 on the agenda. I'd like to entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as presented. Do I have that motion? By Mr. Foote. Do I have a second on that motion? By Gregory Showers. Any discussion on the motion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right, item number 3 on the agenda, approval of the minutes. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of September 8th, 2021. Do I have that motion? By Mr. Showers. Do I have a second? Nobody from that side of the table. Huh? Mr. Foote. All right, for the second. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I abstain, since I was not present at that meeting. Item number 4 on the agenda is presentations. As many of you know, 2 years ago, roughly 2 years ago, I was voted to the board and voted as board chair. Some of the people on the board and some of the people in town didn't know what to expect. I knew that I had big shoes to fill. Melissa Johnson was that board chair. Her high heels did not fit me, but we got through that. Some of us didn't know what to expect. Some thought that it may be good, but I think most thought it was going to be adversary. Come to find out, quite the opposite happened. Melissa and I have worked together on numerous projects. She was, for lack of a better word, a mentor. I could bounce things off of her. She had the experience. She had the knowledge. And I used that. And when I look around here, and people don't realize, and I'm not minimizing board membership, right? I look at Karen here, who's been here, I don't know for how long, but she's been here a long time, right? I think when I was in school, she was still here, right? And I look at Michelle Lucien, I look at Cindy, who's involved with so many things in the schools, from PTAs to booster clubs to always something coming here asking for money. You know, I look at Ellen, who's new, and Lou Zabushka, who spent many years in the trenches, and for some God unknown reason wanted to come back and, you know, come back. But Mr. Foote, who, you know, started his career in a one-room schoolhouse, and the biggest hazard they had was getting burnt on the wood stove in the wintertime, you know, and Mr. Showers, who has been here, Mr. Falcone, who has come back as the acting superintendent, and let's not forget Miss Pat, who, well, she runs the show. It's not the board chair, right? It's not the superintendent, it's not anybody else. That's who runs the show. But to be a board chair takes an exorbitant amount of time, and an exorbitant amount of effort. And relationships have to be formed. If you don't have those relationships, if you don't have that understanding, if you don't have that work ethic, you're not going to be successful. Melissa Johnson has her time not only as a board member, but as board chair, and I've said this before. There was a need for our special needs program to be enhanced, and she fought and she advocated and she really got that done. And as a board chair, she did a great job. So what we've done, I told you, we're having cupcakes, right? Because we got to have cupcakes or Karen would kill me. I canceled. You wanted to slide out of here, and I know you did. You told me that. I just want this to be my last meeting. For those who don't know, this will be Melissa Johnson's last meeting. She's not running again in November, but who knows what the future holds. So I did cancel the clowns and the circus elephants and all that. But what I did do is I contacted the state legislature, and you will be receiving a citation. Representative Betts and Senator Martin are busy elsewhere in the state, and they are deeply saddened that they could not be here. So what that citation is going to say is the citation is issued to Melissa Johnson for her outstanding service to the Plymouth Board of Education. Through dedicated leadership, you helped enrich the lives of the students within the town of Plymouth. Your personal interest in the quality of their education will greatly be missed. A deserved acknowledgement of your tireless and outstanding service to the Plymouth community as a board member and Board of Education chair. And I think that is well deserved. So I would like to give Melissa Johnson a standing ovation for her efforts and her time. And I would like to thank her.
What he said.
And with that said, unless you have something to say.
You're right. I was going to try to just slide out today. But
Okay,
thank you
right.
very much. That's very. Thank you.
Okay. We are now in recess, and we can all fix our makeup. All right.
No, what?
What I
I
gotta
need a
do.
motion and I need a time.
Do I need a motion?
Yes.
All right, who's got
I'd
the
like
motion?
to make the motion to have a recess.
All right, Karen, Michelle Lucian, all in favor?
Because Greg's over there.
Anybody against? I didn't think so.
Yeah.
We are in recess at 7:11. I'm sorry. I told you Miss Pat ran the show. I'd like to entertain a motion to resume regular session at 7:21 p.m. Do I have that motion? By Mr. Foote. Do I have a second?
Right here.
Oh, competition.
Who was that? Michelle Lucian. I got to give it to her. Do it. All right. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Motion
Time we
carries.
hear from that side of the room.
All right. All right. Settle down. Settle down. Item number 7, our student representatives. Welcome. And we will start with Matthew.
All right, so today I'll be representing Rebecca again as she is taking her Tunxus class. So she is in charge of talking to you guys about the senior class. So today the seniors were able to go on a field trip to Tunxus where they can explore other options than typical four-year college. This way they're able to have the resources to determine what will best prepare them for the future, whether it be getting a 2-year degree at Tunxus, getting their gen eds done at Tunxus, and then transferring to a private or state college, going to a 4-year school, or any other path that works well for them. Next Wednesday, the guidance department is hosting a virtual financial aid with a guest from the College Place who will be explaining the financial aid process to help families plan for and pay for college. Currently, many seniors are working hard on their college applications. The FAFSA application opened on October 1st, allowing students to start work on their financial aid. Early action applications for some schools start November 1st. Seniors are busy writing essays, refining applications, and making the big decisions as to where they want to apply to college and potentially be able to attend in the future. Now, so I am in charge of talking about the sports, and so the regular seasons for almost all fall sports are coming to a close towards the end of the month, and then we'll continue into postseason if they make it. And next Thursday, October 21st, there is a Under the Lights game here at Terryville against Thomaston. The girls are playing at 5:30 and the boys are playing at 7:30. This is soccer, and it's going to be pretty exciting.
Excellent. All right. Zachary?
So good evening, everybody. I'm in charge of just talking about general school business and a couple things to catch on. The September 26th, the marching band and color guard marched in the annual Mum Festival Parade. The Mum Festival Parade, I'm pretty sure everyone knows, but there were a lot of marching bands there, including Bristol, which is one of the bigger ones, and with our hard work and preparation, we were able to place second in the best prize for marching band. On the 1st of October, the marching band traveled to the Big E to perform in front of the large audience. The band looked great, sounded great, and we were one of the only high school marching bands there that weekend. Just this past Saturday, Terryville High School students and staff participated in the 4th Annual Suicide Prevention Walk. This event was a huge success, with the Terryville being the largest group present at the regional ceremony held by the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. This Saturday as well, the Terryville High School marching band put on a great performance alongside the UMass, UConn, and many other high school marching bands all around New England. We played 2 different songs, and we were able to come onto the field and play alongside UMass, UConn, and a lot of other high school marching bands, one of them which came, I think, all the way from Michigan, which was really cool. Just today, the 9th, 10th, and 11th graders successfully completed their PSATs. I would like to extend a thank you to the board for that one, and especially just thank you for giving us an opportunity to take these exams. It really helps us grow as students, and it helps, especially me as an individual, knowing where I stand, where I need to grow a little bit as a student, and it allows us just a place where we actually are. The Pep Club and with the support of the Student Council will be putting on Spirit Week for the upcoming week, which will include multiple fun days, as well as activities for the entire school to take part in, with the first pep rally in 2 years taking place on Thursday. And finally, homecoming will finally be happening this year. It is scheduled to take place on Friday, October 22nd. All tickets will be sold prior to the event, so there are no tickets sold at the door. Wristbands will be distributed to help contact tracing, and all lights will be kept on just to make sure that everyone can be monitored to have their masks, as masks are required to be worn at all times inside of the building.
All right, great. Is that all you have?
That's it.
Great, thank you for your time. It's my understanding that you would like to be excused because you have a principal and superintendent that put a ton of demands on you for homework. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Thank you for your time. You can be excused if you would like to leave.
Have a great night.
You as well. Thank you. All right. Item number 8 on the agenda, the superintendent's update. So at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Falcone.
Going off of what Zachary said about the PSATs, we do offer the PSATs to grade 9, 10, and 11 in our school district, which is awesome. It's a great experience for the kids. It prepares them for the real SAT that they'll be taking, that our juniors will be taking in March. But a lot of schools don't provide it to their freshman class, but it is important to give them that practice. So we do want to thank the board for their support in that, like Zachary said. So good evening, everyone. I want to start off the report with some amazing news from Plymouth Center School in our accreditation. We were accredited by the National Association for Education of Young Children, which is a pretty big accomplishment. And Kathleen's going to share more with regard to.
So last week we received notification from NIAC that they are accredited. That was the culmination of a process that started in 2016-17 when we received the Smart Start grant. All state-funded pre-K programs need to either be accredited or working towards accreditation, and so for the last few years, the pre-K program at Plymouth Center has been trying to put in place all the pieces that they would need to get accredited. They went through the self-study and completed it in 2019, and they were supposed to have their site visit in spring of 2020, but that never happened because everything shut down. So the site visit was delayed until April of last year, and when the person came to do the site visit, we have been, waiting for the report for a few months now, and we got it on Tuesday. And not only did we get notification that they're accredited, but they also scored very, very well in multiple areas. They got 100% of the indicators in 3 areas, which were relationships, teaching, and assessment. And they got above 87% of the indicators in almost all of the other categories. There was only one low area, and that was at 82%. So they did a really, really great job, and their accreditation is good for 5 years, so it expires on November 1st, 2026. And at that point, we'll have to reapply to get reaccredited. In the meantime, I'd like to really recognize the hard work of our pre-K team. Nicole Onofrio, Sarah Trudeau, and Jennifer Thompson put a ton of work into this, and Sherry, both as the principal and the superintendent last year, also put a ton of time into both building the program portfolios, but also following up with NIAC over the course of the shutdown so that they could do the site visit and we could finish the process. So we're very, very excited that they got accredited, and we're very grateful to all the hard work that they put in.
Thank you. And there's a pamphlet that everyone has in front of them. We couldn't get into the board packet because this happened after the board packet was due, so we placed that in front of you today. And also I noticed, coming in, there's some people with some spare time, and Rich Trudeau is definitely one with plenty of spare time. I'm being facetious, of course. But in his spare time, Rich did apply for an Emergency Connectivity Award. And we were actually awarded $106,000 off of Rich's work. And Rich is going to share some information about that award, where the money is going to be spent, and how it's going to impact teaching and learning.
Thank you, Mr. Falcone. Sorry, losing my voice tonight, unfortunately. To others, they may cheer that. But the Emergency Connectivity Fund is a part of the American Rescue Plan. And the main intent of the Emergency Connectivity Fund is to meet what they term the unmet needs of our students for remote learning. This would include devices that would go online, such as Chromebooks, tablets, and so on. And we would then, our application, which we put in August, was for 173 tablets for Plymouth Center, and as well as 137 actual Chromebooks for Harry S. Fisher School. 3 weeks ago, we received the funding commitment letter that stated we were approved for the full amount, and now the work begins. The key is we order the Chromebooks and tablets, which that step has been done, and it just takes a while to process the next few steps. It's important to note that the devices that we had currently meet the remote learning needs, but some of these devices, they'll stop updating, like Windows updates and so on, at the end of this school year. So this Connectivity Fund award is going to ensure that every student in Plymouth will have a device, one-to-one, and should the need for us to go remote, we'll be ready on a turn of a dime to do so. And thank you, Mr. Falcone, for supporting us as we did that. In our techs also, inventory, that's a big step too.
Amazing work, Rich. $106,000. Nice job.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, so the upcoming high school field trip to Washington, D.C. has been canceled. That's due to a couple reasons. One was the political climate, they stated to me, and also due to COVID. So we only had 2 students that were still willing to go on the trip. We had 11 originally, but all students did receive a full refund. So we're all set, and I just wanted you to know, because you did approve that trip at the last meeting.
That's a shame.
A COVID update, approximately 43% of the children between the ages of 12 and 17 are fully vaccinated. And just as a reminder from the last meeting, when we do a close contact tracing of a situation and we have to quarantine students, it's between 6 to 12 students on average of the number we're quarantining. But please keep in mind that doesn't always mean they're from the same grade level or the same age bracket, because they're on the buses together and there is some, I guess you could say, cross-contamination with regard to close contact tracing. Since our last board meeting, an executive order has been put in place, and that is Executive Order 14, that basically states that all of our faculty and staff members are required to be vaccinated, completely vaccinated, or they can refuse, have a medical or religious exemption. So right now in our district, we have 13 faculty and staff members that have refused or have a medical or religious exemption. Additionally, we have 11 faculty members that had either the first shot of Johnson & Johnson or the second of Moderna or Pfizer, and they're waiting for the 2-week period after where they are now cleared. So in total, we have 24 people. So the process works like this according to the executive order. And some protocols and procedures that I put in place with the school nurses. By noon on Friday, all of these 24 people have to report to the school nurses their test results. If they don't get them in by noon, now the responsibility shifts to me. And they have to get me their test results by 8 o'clock on Sunday night. At 8 o'clock on Sunday night, I take a look at who's turned them in, who hasn't turned them in. If I do not have their test results, they cannot come to work the next day, and I have to communicate with them on Sunday evening. So that's the process we've been following here, and so far, everyone's compliant, and we haven't had an issue. We are seeing, though, that turnaround times on the tests have increased, and so we're recommending people go on either Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday to get those test results in for that Friday, or at least that Sunday, which will give them plenty of time. So that's just the executive order.
Question on that executive order. So let's say someone doesn't get their test results to you by 8 o'clock Sunday night and they have to take the next day off. What are their options?
They go unpaid.
Unpaid, or can they use their sick time?
They're not sick, so technically no on sick and technically no on personal, because you have to give a certain amount of notice before you use a personal day for the contracts.
For contract.
So we went no pay. That's the decision we made.
Okay.
So
I had a question.
Yes, Ms. Lucian.
So could you provide testing sites at the schools? That way they don't have to, the teachers don't have to go out and get their own testing, because I know in my district, the firefighters, they come like once a week at the school and they do the test for free, and then they get the results. You know, it's on their behalf to find out the results and print them out and give them to the principal.
I can speak on that, Ms. Lucian, if you don't mind, Mr. Falcone, because I'm familiar with your district. So yes, the fire department in your district was tasked with that from the mayor of that city.
Okay.
And the mayor of that city is getting those tests through Waterbury Hospital and through FEMA. That fire department is a career fire department, but they also have what they call a civilian employee who, well, he's not really a civilian. He works for the Department of Homeland Security. So that's how that got done. I don't see that being feasible or working in this district, even though it would have been a great idea. No, it was a great idea, but I don't see that working here, unfortunately.
What we have done originally, we were told that our health insurance wouldn't cover the testing for people that decided to not be vaccinated. So we provided a list of all free test centers to our faculty and staff, and a lot of them are taking advantage of it.
Oh, yeah, I would hope for the free. Yeah. Thank you.
Finally, in your board packet, there's information on a recurring software agreement with Frontline Education. This agreement addresses a number of our HR concerns and inconsistencies within the district, especially at central office when we're compiling all this information from all the different schools. It also moves us from a paper to an electronic process in hiring and tracking personnel information. Streamlining this process with this online program, or enhancing the online program we currently have in place, will move the responsibilities of HR from 4 different people at central office to 1. It is a motion item. It has been in your packet because it is a recurring software agreement. And that's all I have this evening.
So this is just well, I would like a little more information about this, if you may. So this is for human resources. This is for tracking employees, time off, vacation time, sick time,
That's included.
payroll,
Yes. Mhm.
and we don't have anything in place currently at this time.
We have a paper system in place. So if you were an employee and you were going to put in a day, you'd fill out a paper form, fill it out, it would come to me, I would sign off on it. If Rich Trudeau wanted to change a day he had picked to have off, he would have to fill out a form, it would come to me, I'd have to sign it and approve it. So we're not at the point where this is electronic at this point. This one program would be electronic. Rich, you were on the call with myself and Matt.
So this system will integrate with our current HR and purchasing and payables system, Infinite Visions. And so part of it is, say you have an employee apply. We'll be able to, the word track, but I mean different phases of the employment application. If the employee's hired, that information can now directly go into Infinite Visions, our main system. And then, as Brian mentioned, if I need a personal day in this one system, I can fill out a form. If it's approved, that data can now seamlessly go into Infinite Visions and say, Rich took one personal day. Whereas before, as Brian mentioned, everything is disjointed a little bit. There's paper tracking. We're also looking at, I believe, time tracking, which currently is done on cards, paper cards. So there's a lot of time saving as well in this.
All right, but you did say we currently have, this is to enhance the HR we already have. So we have it.
It would fit seamlessly. Our main HR currently right now, if an employee is hired, there are paper copies in the process, and our HR person has to manually type data entry, all the various sections in Infinite Visions to make an employee active in the system.
So if I may ask, who is our HR person?
I am the HR person right now, but I am not typing that in. We have Beth, Beth is our receptionist at central office. She is in charge of the paperwork. Pat does the postings. We have Rebecca doing the payroll, and we have Robin that does a lot of the paperwork and the computers and things like that. So we have a number of people that are involved in the process. We're just trying to streamline it and go digital because...
And this cost is $34,836.23 for the first year.
What's the cost after?
What's the second year?
I think it's...
Okay. Well, I'm not trying to put people on the spot, because it seems like a lot of money.
That was my question too.
And let me, I'll give you an example. Maybe I'm old school, and probably the only one on this board who may agree with me would be Mr. Foote. But, and I don't mean to be funny or demeaning, even though it may come across that way. So, Mr. Trudeau, if I handed you a 5.5-inch floppy disk, can you tell me what's on it?
It might take some work.
How about if I handed you a 3.5-inch floppy disk?
It's going to take some work.
Right. And the reason I say this is because we did this very thing. I had a very progressive fire captain where I worked who wanted to streamline and go digital on everything. And I handed him those things, what's on these. And he couldn't tell me. He couldn't get to it.
Right.
How about a USB drive? Oh, yeah, I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
I can go in the attic and pull the book down from 1836 and open up the page, and I can tell you what happened at 10:34 a.m. because the technology did not change. That's my fear with technology. is we're going to eventually lose it. Because anything that we did on 5.5-inch floppy disks is gone. We're not going to retrieve that, right? That is my, and when we're dealing with human resource people, or human resource records, that's kind of important, right? Because we have to keep those records 30 years past the day they walk out the door. And I don't know if this technology is going to keep up with that, or if there is. I would like to know more about this before we make a motion and accept it. Is this something that we need to do right away?
Every month we wait is another month. Like, we could have this up and running March 1st if we agree on it today. If not, it's April 1st. I have the numbers for the follow-up months. It's actually on my desk. I have the larger packet. We asked them to type it up, but we can move this to the next meeting.
You don't mind? Well, I want to hear from the rest of the board.
I have a statement. We use this in my district for the last like 15 years, and it's very helpful for the employee, you know, like myself, to go back like 10 years to see how many sick days did I have, how many personal days did I not use. So I find it very helpful, and plus it saves on paper and timesheet, and all the data's in there.
Well,
And it's very easy.
Okay.
But I do agree
I'm a believer
that
in trees must die.
it's kind of expensive. I agree with that, but it does have its benefits.
I do know that the price goes down in the second year. I just couldn't tell you how much, but we could table it till next month. That's fine.
Mr. Foot?
I'm just wondering, what does it cost like now? I mean, man hours or however you want to figure it compared.
I think more the concern now is that we're missing pieces. So when I say we're missing pieces, if someone's leaving the district, it takes 4 people to have them appropriately logged out of the district. When we're contacting Rich to say, okay, you have to shut down the email, we're collecting the technology, we have to stop the payroll. Like, there's so many different processes where this just takes a click, and then everyone gets an email, does the part, and disconnects things. It does things automatically, and we're missing those pieces.
That also worries me automatically.
But, I mean, we could get you more information. I'm not worried about
I think I would need more information. I'm not dismissing the idea. I know and for the record, you've been very progressive. We're only in October, and the amount of stuff that you have accomplished in a short amount of time is astonishing. And I don't mean that. I'm trying to give you a hard time here, but
You're just slowing me down.
I'll slow you down. All right? You slow me down sometimes. All right? If I had, you've slowed me down. So, couldn't we just take that $34,836.23 and hire a part-time human resource person to do this instead of using 4? Because, no offense, but you're the superintendent. I don't think you should be tying up your time with human resources. I don't think Rich should be tying up his time with human resources, or Kathleen, or Beth, right? Why don't we just get a human resource person and let them worry about it?
Well, you're not going to get a human resource person for a school district
Part-time.
with that money.
Part-time.
You're not going to get that.
Okay, all right.
Not with that
Well,
money.
is
Not
that-
especially
is that an
since
option we could look into?
year 2 is.
We can look into whatever you guys feel is appropriate. I mean, if you'd rather have.
Karen, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this, on the front line.
I just know working for a bigger district, like that's, an HR person is an administrator. This is not it's not a secretarial position. You're not going to, $34,000 is nothing.
Okay.
That's not enough money.
Ellen?
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I think that it would be very difficult to hire someone for that. And I think, to Michelle's point, I think it's important to have access to records, easy access to records.
Lou?
I have to agree. Yeah.
Okay. Melissa?
With my experience as the chairman, I see how disjointed it is. And, that's pretty much always been, for the last couple of superintendents, an issue. It's like all these different people have their hands in it, and mistakes happen, things are missed. And I'd like to see this streamlined too, and I'm hoping we can move forward before I leave, because this is a good thing.
Wow.
Just saying.
All right, now with that
No pressure. She wants this to be her swan song.
I just want to make one more point. And now it is October, and and we have accomplished a lot. But I can't get an accurate staff list of certified and non-certified people that work in our district. I'm telling you that because I had to create the COVID list to see who needed weekly testing and who didn't, who needed to turn in their vaccination cards and who didn't. And I know that Matt and I have been working on that. And when you look at who's on the payroll and who hasn't been paid, and then we are, I mean, when we're in October and I can't get, we're not that large of a district. And we're not Waterbury and Bristol.
Right.
I should be able to get that information, and I still can't. And now, Friday, I'm going to get it, because we're starting budget for next year on Friday. And those principals are going to have to put everyone down that works in their building, or guess what? They just got cut a position, because that obviously wasn't that important to them. I'm just kidding. But, like, we need an accurate list, and I can't go into one place and get that accurate list. I tried from Rich on the email list. I tried from Matt on the payroll. We're just all over the place. We're very fragmented.
So, Brian, I trust you wholeheartedly. You researched this. Okay. You researched this. Kathleen, have you had a hand in this?
I've been part of the discussions in terms of what we need in a system that's going to handle the whole process.
Okay, Beth?
I've seen this in my former district and been part of the discussions, and I think we do need this.
All right. Well, then, with that said, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve entering into a reoccurring software agreement with Frontline. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
By Melissa Johnson. Do I have a second?
Second.
I'm going to give it to Michelle Lucian. All right. Any discussion on that motion?
I just wanted to have a quick discussion, and just to say that this highlights an issue that we talk about sometimes in this district, that, you know, people don't always understand that our administrators wear many hats in this district. And, you know, they'll say things like, you know, well, the superintendent in Bristol doesn't make this much money or makes this much money, and look how many students they have. That is also their only job. They are the superintendent. They have an assistant superintendent. They have an HR person. They have, this is the difference, and this situation right here highlights that perfectly. Sorry, I went off a little bit, but I just had to get my
No, well said.
I don't think you
PSA in.
I don't think you went off.
Okay.
All right. Any other discussion?
I have one more.
Yes.
The principals will get the front line, like who is out at like 6 in the morning. So that way they could plan for the day and then plan for subs, or if they have to split classes.
This will also in turn save us on using Kelly services in the future. We could build our own sub bank utilizing the system.
Okay.
There's a lot of benefits to it.
All right. Any more discussion on this motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Good. All right. Where are we? Number 9, public comment. I would like to remind that anybody from the public to sign in at the table up front for contact tracing. All right, thank you. Remember, public comment, we're going to limit to 3 minutes per speaker. Please announce your name, spell your last name, and your address. Do I have any public comment? Well, this is different. All right. Hearing no public comment, moving along. Unfinished business. All right. Board of Education meeting dates for calendar. Each member received a copy in your packet. Hopefully you looked it over. I'm sure everybody has. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the Board of Education meeting dates for calendar year 2022 as presented. Do I have that motion? By Melissa Johnson. Do I have a second? By Mr. Foote. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, we have the second read and possible approval of Policy Series 1000, the Community Relations and Use of School Facilities, P1330A and Regulation R1330. We received a copy of that in our September Board of Education packet. With that said, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the revised policy series 1000, community relation use of school facilities, P1330A and regulation R1330. Do I have a motion on that?
So, second.
Michelle Lucian for the motion, Karen for the second. Any discussion on this motion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. All right, second read and possible approval of policy regarding administrative procedures. Limited exemptions from in-person and eligibility for the provisions of continued educational opportunities during the 2021 to 2022 school year. We received a copy of this in our September Board of Ed packet. With that said, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve policy regarding administrative procedures, limited exemptions from in-person and eligibility for the provisions of continued educational opportunities during the 2021 to 2022 school year. Do I have a motion? By Melissa Johnson. Do I have a second on that motion? By Mr. Foote. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Okay. Item number D, what you will have in front of you, what you received in your packet. This is a code of conduct. You looked it over. Some things that in our district that the superintendent has pointed out, and we've received, probably numerous complaints over the years. Code of conduct for students. What this document will do is maintain continuity between the grades. This is for middle school and for high school. This document was created, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Falcone, by the principal of the middle school and the high school, along with the input of the superintendent and other faculty. I think this is long overdue. This eliminates a lot of, well, you know what, James, I like James, and he did that. Well, you know what, don't do it again. But Jake over here, you're getting his attention. This eliminates that. This also sets the bar. We are setting the bar high. When Mr. Falcone came in as the acting superintendent, one of the things that I told him that I expected is to set the bar high. We need to take the schools and try to, as best as we can, eliminate many of the disciplinary problems that we have within this district. This document is going to assist with that. Now, looking at this document, this is what we're going to call a fluid document, which means it can change with our approval. If the staff or the superintendent feels the need to add or remove things, they can. If we feel that we need to add or remove things as needed from complaints we're getting from the public, we can bring it to the superintendent. They could look into that. He can discuss that with his administrative staff. And we can either put that in place or not put that in place. But I think this is an important document to have, and it kind of astonishes me that we have gone this long without one. So with that said, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the code of conduct for Eli Terry Junior Middle School and Terryville High School as presented. Do I have that motion? By Mr. Showers. Do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
By Michelle Lucian. Do I have any discussion on this motion?
I have a couple questions.
Sure thing.
Some of this stuff is like super generic, like public displays of affection. Is that hugging, holding hands, or is that like get a room kit? It's like where well, like, yeah, because
Well said.
some of this can be, failure to sign out when leaving school with permission. I know a lot of the secretaries know all the kids really well, and you have to put it into the computer. So, like, some of these just seem like not to say innocent mistakes, like I'm not sure what a scheduled appointment is, if that's like a scheduled appointment with a guidance counselor, but then the kid gets caught up in art class, forgets to go. I mean, some of like these, it's not like really worded to be very specific. And a lot of this is stuff that I did and I know my kids do. So like,
I'm worried about your kids being home for a while.
most of them are in college now.
Oh, all right. Okay. All right.
But, you know, the level one, and then, you know, for the detentions, are we going to have one particular person now every day after school to be the detention monitor, or is it going to be the teacher that assigns the detention for the behavior has to stay, or?
Okay, well, let me address some of this. I don't think that this policy is intended for us to intervene with the day-to-day operations of the administration. I think that this, like public displays of affection, if someone is high-fiving or holding hands in the hallway or something like that, I think that this gives the administrator some discretion on what that means. And as far as the after-school detention, I can have Mr. Falcone try to answer that question.
We currently have staff, they're assigned detention duty throughout a week, so this week might be this faculty member, next week, and throughout the year, we have one person in each school. Not so much at the middle school, this is more at the high school. This is what needs to be implemented at the middle school as well. It's not currently. Even this code of conduct, if you looked in the current high school handbook, there's something similar, not in this fashion, not this clear with first offense, second offense, and third offense. But Mike and Darren had kind of a format of this already. And so they knew the violations that occur in our schools, and so they kind of plugged those in. I think off of my experience here, in my first month and a half of school, this is going to align more of the middle school expectations with the high school expectations from what I've seen. So public displays of affection in middle school might look a little different than high school. I don't know if I could define your definition that you put out earlier, but it's not hand-holding and hugging. It's a little more than that, and honestly, the first time is a warning, you got to stop, and then when it doesn't stop, it just escalates to the next one. But that's why, you know, Mike, Darren, and Angie put them into levels, because as you go through, it gets more significant in sort of the consequences with the behaviors.
And then what about transportation issues that might arise from students having to stay after school for detentions, and there not being a late bus and parents working and stuff like that? Is it?
They work it out with the parent. You know, they'll call the parent, contact the parent, have that conversation. If a child can't stay, we're reasonable. We find a day where the parent can pick them up, or we have an alternative consequence, such as, you know, before school, or we can do like lunch. We'll make them serve that detention. So
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are you going to develop this into like a handbook?
This is going to be placed into the student handbook.
Okay,
This is
so-
going to replace what's in there now or what's not in there at all.
Okay, so all students, parents, and staff will have a handbook.
That's correct. And I will, if this is approved by the board, this will be sent out by Mike and Angie to all of the parents in their schools, so they understand what we've implemented.
Okay, thanks.
And I think to the students' defense, and to their credit, is if we don't lay out what those expectations are or those consequences, they don't know that, right? So this lays that out for them, right? This is the expectation. This is where we're setting the bar, and we're setting the bar high, right? And I have a firm belief, if we set the bar low, they're going to achieve it. If we set the bar high, they're going to achieve it. So this is something, in my opinion, that should have been a long time ago, right?
I don't know if some of them can be a little bit more detailed, like illegally parking on school grounds. Does that mean you parked where the staff are supposed to park versus in the junior parking lot? Does that mean you drove across the grass? Like, some stuff I'm not sure what would be a violation versus what's not a violation. So I just don't know if it needs to be a little bit more detailed. So this way, a parent would know, like, if their kid, what the kid did, and even the child, like misbehaving in the cafeteria. There's many levels of what could be considered misbehaving in the cafeteria.
Sure.
So
I don't think it's possible to spell out every violation or criteria. Well, it says here if I throw my steak across the room, and I don't know if we're serving steak at lunch.
Probably not.
Right? But I threw potatoes. So, right? But one thing I would like you to notice on here, everything starts with a warning.
Well, everything
Right.
on the first page.
On the first page.
On the first page. Well, and then,
Right.
right,
That's
so,
level
so
one,
they'll
the
know.
bottom.
Right.
And I know the staff here, and I don't think it's going to be a surprise to anybody that they're getting in trouble, right? Like, right? So I think that's it. And I think the administrators are good at using discretion. This just gives them, this also helps them back up their decisions. So the parents can't say, well, show it to me in writing. My kid's an angel. No, not really. But here it is in writing, and they broke this rule, and this is the consequence. It's written down, and it's done. Yes?
A couple of hopefully brief things. One being, with the violation of the school rule regarding electronic and other devices, I mean, being a high school teacher, I know that is probably very commonly seen, with kids picking up a device or getting caught texting or whatever it is that they're doing. I'm wondering if it's feasible. I mean, I'm almost picturing that you could have like 20, 30 kids in detention very quickly for just cell phone use.
I'm okay with that. But we also have a cell phone policy that we put in place prior to this.
Yep.
That I thought was very middle of the road, if you will.
I would say that the cell phone policy the board approved gives the teacher I would say the authority to let students know cell phones can't be out right now when I'm teaching, but if you're doing independent work, you can have them out. So this is going to be that kid that really pushes the system with regards to the phone, and it's a matter of a consistent issue with the student. And we do have a few students that are just kind of ignoring the rule, and I think that's where this is really, most of the students are really, they know we're being reasonable with them and their phones, and they're working with us.
So one of the reasons why I wanted this code of conduct was, one, to maintain continuity and equity. The second one was I wanted to give the teachers the authority to be able to run their classrooms. And I wanted to give the building administrators the power to run their buildings. And educationally, and I'm not wrong, but Karen, please, and Michelle, I think educationally wise, that's been lost, because I've heard from teachers that I can't discipline the kid because I'm going to get in trouble. We don't want that anymore. The teachers run their classrooms, the administrators run their buildings, the admin team runs the district.
We can't help you. We work in elementary school, but.
But the best example I can give you is if you go to level 3 and you go to the violation of fighting. You saw that I sent a letter home the other week, and we bypassed the first offense. I mean, from what I saw on video, from what was reported, there's no question that we needed to go further at times and bypass certain levels of this. And again, that comes to the authority that we give the principals, and it's in here. I mean, it could be more if warranted, and we did that. And then we followed it up with a letter, basically letting parents know that we're just not tolerating this anymore. Not that it should ever be tolerated. It never was tolerated, but We just wanted to make it clear.
Perfect. Any other discussion?
I just have one more.
Oh, sure.
I see we have inappropriate behavior directed toward another student, and then there's, in the much higher offenses, there's bullying, harassment, or hazing behaviors.
What page are we on? I'm sorry.
Inappropriate behaviors on the top of page 2. And then on the last page, there's the bullying, harassment, or hazing behaviors. I just wanted to ask about the differentiation between that. Is the inappropriate behavior just, sort of offenses that are not tending towards, well, maybe you could just say what the difference is between the two. I know that bullying, obviously, the definition of that is extended, and it's got its own legal definitions.
And I think that's correct. And if anybody wants to chime in on that, bullying has a specific definition, and that I'm going to say that the inappropriate behavior, even though it may not fall underneath the definition of bullying, doesn't mean that something will not be done.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Right.
And that includes online incidents.
Sure does, and social media, absolutely. Because we've seen many of cases where that's where a student will get around that because it was done on a cell phone, it was done something like that, it was done on Snapchat or anything like that. So I thought it was very important that that social media aspect was included.
Mm-hmm.
Any other discussions? Thoughts? No? Anyone? Everybody's questions answered? Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I'll call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. Thank you. All right, new business. Board of Education goals. At this time, I am going to turn this over to Mr. Falcone once again. I know he's been working very hard. Oh, he's standing up. We're going to have a TV screen. So this will be good. All right. We got cupcakes. All right. So,
All right, so this is a presentation that I've done for 3 out of the 4 schools at this point in time. And I wanted to go to all of their faculty meetings, and I go to Fisher's tomorrow. It's the one school I haven't gone to discuss first, why did I come back? This is a quote that I've heard from a number of people. Why am I back here? And I wanted to share why I'm back here. You got to look at the screen and read it.
Terrible.
you need a Vanna.
So these are quotes from various teachers, non-certified staff, administrators that I've heard since I've come back. And that's why I'm here. Like, I'm here to change the mindset of individuals that work here, because this is very sad to me that our job is to work with children and make a difference in their lives. And these are some of the quotes that I've heard. And we need to change that mindset, and we need to have a plan to do it. So when I meet with the teachers, I talk to them about how hard, I mean, there's a number of you that are teachers on the board, how hard this year has been. It's like you're all a first-year teacher again. But this takes no extra work to change your mindset on how you view things and how we do things for kids. Then we talked about the rest of the work that needs to be done. And this work is being done by the board and by the administrative team as we speak. So the teachers need to focus on teaching, improving their craft, and their mindset. And for the administrative team and the board, these should be our actions. We're evaluating the district needs, and we're making some changes, such as the code of conduct. We're going to build a proper support structure, which You'll see it in a few minutes. And then we're going to create coherence and direction. So I had focus groups, I did observations, and one of the greatest parts of my focus groups and observations is what was reported to me about the staff and the faculty we have in our district. We have the right people, and we have great people working with kids that truly care about kids. So we have the right people on the bus. Now it's a matter of giving them that right direction and creating that structure for them. So here's the structure for support and improvement. If you look at it from pre-K all the way through grade 12 in all of the academic areas, and then K through 12 in all the departments, we have a mid-level leader that works with the administration to improve their department, their grade level, and their school. So we've created this structure, and it will be put in place next year. This is a structure for improvement. And I could give you an example for counselors. You have K-12 counselors on there as department leaders. Sometimes when we create our professional development plan, we don't really have much for our counselors. Well, this puts that group together and gets them to work with Beth to create that PD or provide them the PD they need. And so this is a structure for overall improvement. So here's your job right now. I want you to see the Board of Education mission statement, strategic plans, vision, core values and beliefs, goals and objectives. Now you're the Board of Education. These are your goals. Melissa Johnson, since you're leaving, you can't get mad at me after today. How many board goals are there?
Well, we thought there were 4 or 5 and 2 alternatives, but what I've been hearing is they're actually not there.
There's 7, okay? So here's the mission statement. And this is a really good mission statement for our school. It's right here in front of you. Everyone knows it. And I know it's a good mission statement because I was here 9 years ago when it was created. And we had a lot of really high-end people come and help us create that mission statement. So this is a great mission statement for our school. It's a great place to start off. Here's our strategic plan. You don't have to read it. This is not a strategic plan. A strategic plan is between 5 and 10 pages minimum. It's a 3 to 5 year plan of improvement for our district. Mm-hmm. This is not a strategic plan. Here's our vision. Here's our core values and beliefs. Here's our goals, the 7 of them, Melissa, like you said. We have 4 primary goals, though. Primary goal 1, 2, my favorite, number 3, number 4, and then we have secondary goals. So I'm talking with teachers in a faculty meeting, and no one knows the direction we're going because there are too many directions. So over time, we've added to what's already there. I didn't bring the goals to you to approve in August because they needed to be revised. We need coherence. Coherence means that everyone understands what we're working towards. In my goal as a superintendent coming in, it's not happening overnight. But in year 3, God willing, I'm still standing here. I could ask any board member, what are our 3, 4 goals? And you could name them. But not only that, I could ask a teacher, I could ask a non-certified staff, and I could ask a student, and they could answer that question. So we want to keep this simple. There are 3 focus areas for our school and our district that we should be looking for. And I'll give you a little hint. If you look at what the principals shared with you, and that they're going to share with you on a monthly basis, it focuses on those 3 areas. So working with the administrative team, we came up with a draft of revised board goals. They're a draft because you have to vote on these. These are your goals. for our district, and then we start to create our improvement plans off of these goals. The first one deals with student achievement. So if you look at the goal, what's different about this goal than the goals that are in place are it's measurable. The objectives are part of what you could measure my performance on at the end of the year. And I could measure the principal's performance on at the end of the year. And you could also measure your own performance on at the end of the year. So when you look at the objectives, we're building and expanding the instructional capacity of our certified and non-certified teachers. Everyone that works with our kids, we're going to work on improving their craft. And then we're looking at the curriculum, and we're going to update that curriculum. We're going to look at our special ed programs. And one of the things that Beth talked about in her interview was bringing in the unified sports program. That's enhancing special ed programs, and there's a lot more we can do. And then looking at our SRBI process that we have in place, and I'll tell you it's very strong at Plymouth Center. It's very strong at Fisher. We need to look at it at Eli and high school. But it needs to be K through 12 to support the students that we have going through the program. So that would be my recommendation for goal number 1 for the board to adopt. The second goal is engagement. So this is engaging students in the learning process. And one of the interview questions that was asked for me was talking about, like, how do we expand our learning opportunities for kids? And we talked about opening the doors of the high school. I shared how I had a career center at my former school. And that's what we need to be doing. But that's not only at the high school, it's also at the middle school. What opportunities are we giving students outside of school? So that's objective 1. The second deals with other types of assessments and learning opportunities that deal with performance instead of a test. You don't always have to give a child a test or a quiz in order to learn or see what they understand. And then the last one is really a board goal. It's increasing our unified arts options for pre-K through grade 8. That's an investment on your part. And we can do that together. Matt and I are looking at how we can do that, working with our elementary and middle school principal as we speak. So that's engagement and learning. And then you have well-being. So we look at enhancing the well-being supports. We look at our safety measures and security drills. And the best example I give people are the locks on the doors in the classrooms and what kind of locks we have on the classrooms in case we need to do a lockdown. And if we have the old school locks, we have the magnets that we could slide in the doors. There's a lot of things we can do to enhance the safety and well-being of kids in school. And then increasing, again, another board goal is increasing extracurricular activities for our students and looking what opportunities and clubs and activities we have for them after school hours and investing in that. So those are the 3 board goals. And in your packet, you have this draft, but there's also a 4th goal, because I had to keep Matt busy as well. And there's a few things that we realized, Matt and I working together with regard to budget, that need to be tightened up. And we need a capital improvement plan. We need to really refine our zero-based budgeting system. And we need to develop a process for ordering large items that are needed for our district. Those things are really all not in place at this time, and we need to work towards those. And we're starting that work actually on Friday with our administrative team. So in your board packet, you have this. It says draft of board goals. That covers all the goals, but really what it does, we evaluate the needs, we put the structure in to support our growth and our improvement as a district, and then we create that coherence, where we come back and we have those 3 areas of focus: student achievement, student engagement, and student well-being. And every single person in our district, if we could get those 3 things, and we could move those to the next level, we move our district forward. So that's my presentation to all of the faculty. Again, I have Fisher tomorrow. That's my presentation to the board. And as I shared with all the different groups that I met with, I'm presenting this to the board. This is the board's option. We can stick with what we have, or we could start to make some adjustments and changes to create that coherence. So that's my presentation on goals, and it is a motion item, as you see on this.
Any comments? Any comments from the board to Mr. Don't go anywhere.
Uh-oh, he's on the hot seat now.
Do you want to go back to each goal individually?
No. Any questions from the board on these goals? Thoughts?
I guess I'll say something.
Sure.
So I know when I met with you, I had talked about the previous goals, and I felt that they weren't really easy to monitor. It was more opinion-based than anything. So some of this stuff you can definitely tell if you're adding stuff to the grade levels, if you're, you know, giving more classes and enrichment programs and stuff like that. So you'll definitely be able to see if this is being done or if it isn't being done. So it's going to be much more obtainable to monitor.
Yeah, it's everything, all of the objectives under the goals are measurable. And at the end of the year, the plan is for our administrative team to come up here and show what they've done in their schools to support each of whatever goals you guys adopt.
Anyone else?
I was just going to say that I think the fiscal oversight goal is excellent. You know, just having it there as a marker and just saying, you know, this is the intention. And what you're saying about revising and aligning the SRBI, I think is so important. It's like a missing piece that, you know, kids are just falling through, I think, and having that in place is going to help a lot of kids.
And some of that deals with changing schedules in our middle school and high school. And Angie and Mike and Darren are working on that as we speak, working with some central office. Kathleen, myself, and Beth have sat down and looked at, do we have the staffing to run an 8-period schedule in a middle school? And we have found that we can by making some adjustments. So it's working together. We're going to start on that process.
Mr. Zabushka,
Yes, sir.
I would love to know your thoughts since I had actually had you as a teacher back in 6th grade on these goals. Would these goals aligned with back when you were a teacher in this district, would these have helped you? And would these have been valuable to you as a teacher?
Absolutely. I mean, you have to have a vision to work with. You know, you can't just expect everybody to do their own thing. You need something like this, which is structured, so that everybody can follow it and it's all the same. Because in different schools, things are treated differently. So you really need something like this to make it cohesive all the way through.
I agree. And one of the things that I like about these is that we took, now we know that we tried to, we redistricted the schools, right? We made Plymouth Center K through 2, and we did that 3 through 5th. We did that for a multitude of reasons. And one of those was that so every kid in the school district was taught the same, right? Every 2nd grader was taught the same. Every 3rd grader was taught the same. But we still had schools, it seems, that were kind of doing their own thing. And that's going to take a little time to get away from. I think with this, it's going to align all the schools to a common direction. I like this, Brian, and I don't know if you worked on this by yourself or with your administrative team, but I'm very impressed by this. It seems like
this was done as a team.
We're going back to basics where I think we need to be. And I think education overall has become overcomplicated. And I think this brings us right back to the basics, right back to where it needs to be. Karen, I would like to know your thoughts.
I mean, yeah, I agree with you about it being more easily understood and basic. I just am interested to see how these things can be accomplished. And I'm not doubting that you can. I'm confident that you can. It's just going to be interesting to see how they can be accomplished.
I'm going back We got to get past, we can make this happen.
Yep.
And I have to, what I said to the middle school when I was presenting with the middle school, because that's what a middle school teacher said to me. He said, okay, great, where are you getting all the money to do this? You know, that's middle school, right? And I said to two teachers who were my former students, who were now sitting there, and I said, when I came into the high school as your principal, I had no money to improve the school. I didn't get $1. I get 0%. My 4 years as being a high school principal. There are ways to make this happen when we look at our resources and utilize them differently. And a resource, for example, is a schedule. To get SRBI right, we changed the 2 schedules, and now we could make that system work because we have the people, we have the resources. And even with this structure, this is looking at how stipends are spent differently. And so it's just a matter of, Matt and I working with the financials, working with Beth, Kathleen, and Rich on some things, and then going with the principals. We're making things happen. We're making some adjustments that, honestly, we're ready to make. And our teams are ready to make, so.
Another important thing I'd like to point out is, we know that our responsibility is to the children of this district and give them the best education that we can. But we also, on the other end, we do have somewhat of a responsibility to the taxpayers of this town. The fiscal oversight, I think, is a very important portion of these goals, making sure that we are using the money that we have smarter and to the best way that we can. I think that's an important component for this. So.
There's been a feeling that we've been doing zero-based budgeting in districts for a while. But I can't say we've been really zero-based budgeting. And I think hopefully that we can find some additional resources by budgeting in that style.
Right. Any other questions for Mr. Falcone? His legs must be getting tired by now. Any comments? No? Mr. Showers?
No, I like it.
Mr. Johnson? Okay, Mr. Foote?
I just want to make sure unified sports happens, please. It's been a long time.
Good, yeah, I think that's a good thing. All right, I think you could sit down now, Mr. Foote. Is that Jerry Rubin there in the back? All right. Okay, so everybody, that was a great presentation. I would like to entertain a motion to approve the Board of Education goals for the 2021 to 2022 school year as presented.
So moved.
By Mr. Showers. Do I have a second? By Mr. Foote. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Falcone. All right, item number 12 on the agenda, board member committee reports, finance and operations. Once again, you should have stayed at the podium. I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Falcone, acting superintendent. Because where is Mr. Tenza today?
He had a prior commitment. He couldn't make the meeting this evening.
Okay, all right.
But included in your board packet, you'll find our accounts by facilities report for September. 3 different submissions, the business office activity report, Board of Ed budget summary through September, and the total Board of Ed budget percent by month. And these account by facility reports will be forwarded to the Town of Plymouth Board of Finance.
Perfect. All right, in our packet.
Hold on, I have more.
Okay.
No, it's okay. Just one more thing. As we discussed in previous meetings, we are looking to outsource the work on our grounds and landscaping. So within your board packet, you also have the RFP that we would like to put out for landscaping and maintenance of the grounds, lawns, and gardens and athletic fields. This is a motion item as well.
So, one of the questions that I had, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Falcone, is that it's not include snow plowing, and that's because we are still currently under contract for that for this year?
We actually have an RFP out for snow plowing as well.
Okay,
So that's separate than this.
we're gonna keep that separate?
They're going to be separate at this time.
Okay.
So we actually were working with the town, and they met with myself and Matt and Jim Maison to discuss keeping those separate at this time.
Okay. Let's see. And this is the RFP will be a year-to-year contract. We're not going to do a 2-3 year contract, is that correct, Mr.
I
Falcone?
believe this is a one-year contract.
One contract for the year, okay. All right. Anybody have any questions on this so far?
I have a question. I'm not sure how will contractors know about this? Because most municipalities, have their own maintenance. So I just want to make sure that we're going to be able to get like a good amount of bids, or that it's going to get out there. Like, how is it going to be advertised a particular way, or?
Matt mentioned to me 3 different locations he was planning on advertising, 3 or 4 for this bid, different newspapers and different sites. And I believe the town is also helping to get this word out. Okay. And I know that some people have all inquired about this as well, because they heard it through, I don't know where they heard it, but that we'd be going out to bid. And so some people have been inquiring with Matt as well. So I'm hoping for the same, the more, the better off for us.
Yeah, because it's just, since like our town has never done it before, so people wouldn't look. I mean, maybe bigger cities hire out and these contractors know to look there. But I just want to make sure that it just doesn't get overlooked, that it's kind of well announced and advertised.
Okay.
I mean, I can have Matt, because Matt is really working on this with Jim. I could have him email the board tomorrow at exactly how we plan on getting this advertised, if that's okay.
Yeah, so it says here that we may extend it for 2 additional years. Not really a huge fan of that. The only other thing, I do like how detailed it is, which I think is great. During if this gets approved to go out, or as modified, the one thing that I would like to see in the advertisement is that women-owned and minority-owned companies are encouraged to apply. I think that's important as well.
Women-owned and minority?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, he does have something in the back that it does state that under, he does have that. It's a pretty thorough.
This is actually from my previous district. They contacted the business manager. I asked for their contract.
Yeah.
Because we modeled a lot off of that. So.
Yeah, it's very thorough. Okay. All right. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the RFP request for proposal for landscaping as presented in the package. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
By Mr. Showers. Do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
A second on Michelle Lucian. Any discussion on this motion? No discussion on the motion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Mr. Foot will abstain. All right. All right, personnel report. Again, Mr. Falcone.
You've been provided with an updated personnel report in your board packets. If you have any questions, just please let me know. We have a number of openings still that we're looking to replace people with, but there's really not many people out there right now in the field of education that are looking for positions. I think the ESSER funds have really impacted the work, the pool of employees out there. So, we're definitely looking for a number of people.
All right. Item number 13 on the agenda, public comment. Do I have any public comments? All right, hearing or seeing none, we'll move along to board liaison reports. We do have an opening for Plymouth Center, so if anybody would like to raise their hand and volunteer for that, that would be wonderful. You can see me afterwards. I don't have a report for Harry S. Fisher School. I was not able to make it. I had some personal medical business to attend to. Mrs. Condrea Florenciani.
At the middle school, we're actively looking for PTA members. It's $10. Most of that goes to pay for the state fee and the national fee. And then we have a couple of fundraisers that we're waiting on getting approved, but they'll be in November. It's going to be a couple of fun things. That's pretty much it for the middle school. Booster Club at the high school. They're getting ready for their calendar fundraiser. I saw they have a really nice calendar again this year. It's $5 for a ticket. And they'll be selling, all the athletes will be selling the calendars for the month of November, and the giveaways start for the month of December. So that's a really great fundraiser for them, and it's a lot of fun. They're also doing the IGA Roundup November 17th to 13th. So if you go to IGA and when you scan out your order, you just round up your change and it gets donated back to the school. It's a really easy and simple fundraiser for them. So when you're shopping, just do the roundup to help support them. The town of Plymouth is doing their block party on Saturday, this Saturday, from 12 to 4. And I know that there's a lot of kids from the schools that are going to be there. The Leos, I believe, are there. Are they calling them Leos in the middle school too? So yes. The Leos will be there. And they have a huge spread of everything between food, entertainment, activities. So come out and support the town. It's a free event. There's going to be stuff, of course, that you can pay for, but it's going to be a lot of fun. That's pretty much all.
You're all done? Well, Mrs. Kulasa.
Yes, I contacted Mr. Holtz because I don't know who the Terryville High School PTSA person is. He got in contact with her, forwarded me an email, so now I should be invited, hopefully, to the meetings. Their next meeting is possibly October 21st, but that's the night of the Terryville-Thomaston game, so it's doubtful that they will actually have a meeting on that night. So unless they reschedule it for October, the next meeting after that is not until November 18th. I will say the PTSA at the high school generally gets rolling more in the latter half of the year, so it's not surprising that there's not much to report at this time.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Foote?
No report.
I'm just going to say that as of right now, SEPTA is closed unless we have interest, and if they do, they can either superintendent or Beth, and they can contact me personally, but at this point, we have no interest.
Okay.
So.
All right. Sorry to hear that. Ms. Roth, CABE.
For CABE, so the delegate assembly in person is on November 11th. I have here, if you haven't seen it, the 2022 proposed resolutions, if you'd like to review it if you don't have a copy. Let's see, the convention for CABE and CAPSS is on November 12th, so the following day, also at the Mystic Marriott Hotel in Groton. From what I saw, now signups are on a wait list, so they're restricting that for COVID to a certain level of individuals. And then there's a new board member and leadership conference in person on December 8th. That one is at the Sheraton Hartford South Hotel, Rocky Hill.
Thank you. Mrs. Johnson.
So this was my last meeting, and the superintendent and I went together. It was their annual meeting, so it was really short. It was more of a presentation of their all of their admins, and then we finalized the budget. And they wanted just to let everybody know that the last 2 years they've actually haven't had to go into their reserve, so they've actually been doing great. And Jeff had stated that the pandemic has actually made Ed Advance more relevant to most of the districts because they've been doing a lot of work. So I just want to say that I thought it was an amazing experience being with them. I'm going to miss that board. So yeah, and then one more thing, their overall budget, only 9 to 10% of their overall budget is the agency cost. Everything else goes right back to the district. So I think it's very relevant that we keep being a member there.
Okay.
So, and my position's up, so they're going to need somebody there.
Looking around the table. All right, we'll discuss that after.
I'll consider it.
You will?
Yeah.
Oh,
I've done it in the past.
Yeah, you
all
know.
right. Good.
I was the board chair, president, whatever they call it at some point, one point. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll have to draw straws or
Yeah, we don't need
put
to draw
names in
straws,
the
somebody else
hats
can
or,
do it.
or bare knuckle boxing, however we want to do it. Mr. Showers?
No report,
Okay.
no meeting.
All right, yes, we are working on that. I've been talking with Mr. Falcone and,
Yeah, we need a meeting.
yes, we absolutely do.
What,
Agree.
over a year and a half?
Well, okay. Next regular board meeting for the Plymouth Board of Education is on Wednesday, November 10th, 2021 at 7 p.m. in the cafeteria at Terryville High School. At this point, I'd like to entertain a motion to enter an executive session.
Well, you missed board comments.
Board comments.
Oh, board comments. All right, I'm sorry, board comments. Mr. Zabushka,
Yes, sir.
any board comments?
No, sir.
All right, Ms. Rawl?
I just wanted to say thank you to Melissa for her service. I haven't been here with you very long, but I've been aware of you as a board member for a while. And I appreciated what you imparted at the orientation just a few months ago. I appreciate the benefit of that, so thank you.
Ms. Condrey Florenciani?
The high school did a movie night. I heard that a lot of kids enjoyed that. It's nice to hear that they're going to have a homecoming and some other activities going on. So that's really nice to see that the kids are able to enjoy some other activities this school year. And enjoy your new endeavors, Melissa. Love you.
All right, my turn.
Yes, Mr.
I want to thank Melissa for her years in the leadership. I did learn a lot from you. I wish you well. Ever since I became a board member, I've been asking for these two documents, the Code of Conduct. I'm very happy to see this. I've been asking for it since I started. And SRBI. And I'm so excited that you connect with SRBI because I've been also asking for that. So I want to say thank you.
This is close.
Yeah, I actually want to talk about that too a little bit. Is thank you, Mr. Falcone, for your. I'm trying to think of things at once. For your direction and for your focus on the things that are most important to our district. I really appreciate you putting your, heart into it. It's very obvious. We can tell that that's where your direction and your leadership is coming from. And you have a wonderful team as well, which I know you know and appreciate, and as do we. And I do know that you are the hardest working administrative team in the, possibly the state. So I am always pulling for you, so just keep that in mind. Melissa, I'm not going to give you a big lengthy goodbye because you and I are very good friends, and I will see you often. But I do love you.
Mr. Showers.
I'd just like to wish Melissa well in her, whatever she's gonna do. And all the candidates that are up in November, good luck.
All right, Mr. Foote.
I wish Melissa all the best. And she's pulled my irons out of the fire more than once. And thank you for all that. And I wish everybody else good luck in the election.
Just a few things. Like I said, Melissa, I said what I needed to say during the presentation, and you know we've talked. As far as everything else go, it is October, and the amount of work that the administrative team has accomplished, code of conduct, policy, direction, is something that, in my opinion, has been lacking. And I know you're hard working, because sometimes I get emails from Brian at like 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, what the hell is he, or what the heck is he doing, excuse me, right? But then I learned, right, you could set
He's
those.
scheduling them, yes.
Yeah, I don't know if that's what he's doing, I doubt it. But I talked to Mr. Falcone probably on the average of 2 hours a day, on the average. And so I am very happy. We've spent a good year putting a good team in place here, and going through the interview process and going through the hiring process. And we have a good team, and I'm very excited and looking forward to see where we're headed. I think we're heading in a great direction, and I'm happy about it.
Could I make a comment?
No. Well, go ahead. Yes, of course you can.
One, this is all about a team. We do everything as a team. From in schools, it's all about leadership from the middle and improving schools that way, and working with our leadership team here at central office and our leadership team in the buildings together. That presentation wasn't just me. Okay? I don't want anyone to even think for a second. We did this together. The other piece I want to say about Melissa Johnson is that prior to Melissa getting on the board, she was making a difference for kids in our school. And I was here 17, 18 years ago. I don't know when I started here now, because, again, it's only October. I feel like I've been here for 20 years. But the differences she was making for her boys back then, which impacted a whole bunch of other students that have come through, she's created a legacy here, and that's what this is about. So you've done some amazing work for kids. So thank you.
May I take a point of personal privilege, please?
Can you what?
Can I take a point of personal privilege?
Sure.
I wasn't going to say anything, and I actually lost my voice again, so thank you. I just want to say that this experience has been amazing. I'm glad I did have a lot of support on the board for many, many, many years. Being chair opened my eyes up to a lot. And I'm just going to comment on what Walt said. There was a lot of people who said we would never be friends and we would never work together, and that was absolutely the most far-fetched thing I thought. We have done good work together, so thank you. To Karen, I could not have done that without you. She was always my left-hand person. When I was a little stressed, she would kick me under the table. We do have somebody in the audience that I do want to recognize, Jerry. He was always, he kept me on my toes the whole time we were there, so thank you. But this experience was pretty amazing, and to continue to be an advocate even after my kids were gone, you can't even explain what that does to a person. So thank you all for that support. Thank you for the citation, and I wish you guys all the best of luck, and I'll be watching.
You got that?
Oh, I know you will.
Okay.
And I just want to say, people at home think that this blue apron around the front is for decoration. That is not true. Karen kicks me quite frequently. All right.
Keep him in line.
Yeah, so we have that. All right. Any more board comments? All right. I'd like to entertain a motion to enter into executive session at 8:53 PM to discuss personnel-related matter and a memorandum of agreement, live stream instruction, ESSER funds relocation, and proposed contracts for the PSAA Plymouth School Administration.
So moved.
Administrators. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
By Mr. Showers, do I have a second? Mr. Foote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We are now in executive session.
I'm breathing. Oh.